You know what it is? After a while, you get to know what accurate RV information feels like. There's a certain feeling to it, to me. Everyone has their own way of identifying it. Yeah. And you begin to know what that is, and then you say, okay, I know that's probably accurate. But here's the thing, Joe. The conscious mind can imitate that feeling. It's always playing around. So you never totally... This isn't something that you ever totally... And if you ask some of the top remote viewers that still do this, people that worked in the military, they will tell you never totally feel confident in it. You just
like Joe McMoneagle or something like that.
He told that to me. He said you never... Really? He said the biggest obstacle to this is...
Thinking you know.
Trusting that you're so good at this now that you're not going to miss. And then he said you're going to miss it. So it's always a paradox. That's what makes it so challenging. That's what makes it so challenging. Because it's working with another sort of process that we're used to.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about a subtle energy phenomenon here.
Right.
Okay, and crop circles are also a subtle energy phenomenon.
Right.
So tell me just a little briefly about what got you into the crop circle, or what happened first, the crop circles or the remote viewing, and how you connected these two. And then maybe, as an intro to crop circles.
Well, let's just go back for a second about what we're doing. The reason I call it resonant viewing is I don't think it's really remote, because if this really works through some sort of quantum or other subtle energy process, it might imply that the universe is not made up of time and distance the way we see it with our senses. Maybe everything's connected like in a hologram.
Right.
And in that case, you don't have remoteness. What do you have instead? Frequency.
It's like a TV. You tune into a certain station, there it is.
That's a very good way to put it. It's like a TV. The channels are all there. Normally we're on this conscious channel that we've been trained to be on. And, if you try to change channels, you could be put in jail if you do it with a chemical substance or something. So, but there's a lot of almost pressure in our civilization to kind of stay on the channel most of the time, except when we have holidays and celebrations and so forth, and we're allowed to kind of party it up a little bit.
You could let our hair down a little bit.
Yeah, but normally, so you switch channels, there's other information there. Right in the room around us right now, there's all these different radio signals, cell phone signals. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. They are there in resonance. Okay, so there's a sort of a resonant connection that we get to the target, and that's how the information comes across, like two tuning forks. You might have seen this. You hit one, and they're on the same note. The other one starts ringing. It's resonance. They're at the same frequency. They start spontaneously exchanging information.
Right.
So when I was taking the original remote viewing class, one of the things that we looked at was crop circles. And I just became very curious about what crop circles were, because at the time I was showing the feedback picture, I said, well, what is crop circle? I didn't even know what it was. I had been in graduate school for so long, it wasn't even part of my reality of words, my linguistic capabilities to understand what a crop circle was. It wasn't in my vocabulary. So I said, okay, I'm going to go. I went with Ron Russell the next summer, because I got to see what these are. Because in my session, I'd got some kind of interesting energy and information, and I became curious. And that's how I originally went over there, was just to kind of get some feedback on the target, like what did I view? Because when I did my viewing, I got stuff related to extraterrestrials, archetypal symbols, strange energies, shapes, beings in the field doing something. It just kind of piqued my curiosity, and I decided to go over there and check it out.
So you went over and you checked it out. And you've been going over there now.
Yeah.
You tell me since 97?
Yeah, kind of got hooked.
Wow. And you take people over, you go with
we do tours. We'll do another one this summer. When I first started going over there, honestly, my sociologist mind thought that the stories I'd heard about crop circles, once I started finding out what they were kind of like urban legends. People like to make stuff up. I was a little skeptical, just like RV. I thought, come on, it's just a bunch of weed, right?
It's a pretty amazing phenomenon.
Until I began to see, in my own experience, directly some of the things I'd heard about. Cameras failing, batteries failing, talking to people that had seen balls of light in and around the crop circles, lots of reports of UFOs in and around the crop circles. And these seem to be coming from reputable people. And when your own batteries stop working that you just charged the night before, brand new, then you say, whoa, what was that? Now
something's going on.
Well, the first couple times it happens, your mind rationalizes it away and says, that was probably just a mistake or something like that. And then after a while, when it happened enough, I realized there's something really happening here. the crop circles are generating an energy field or something, and the equipment's reacting to it. You can kind of feel it when you walk in there, but that's kind of so subjective. How do you know?
We have a crop circle up on the
Oh, yeah, okay. There you go.
Now. Tell me a little bit about this one.
This is one from the year 2000. This was called the Earth's magnetic grid, or something to this effect. It looks kind of like a magnetic field. It's actually, even though it looks curved, Joe, that is made completely of straight lines. It's an optical illusion. And it's certainly one of the biggest and the best that we've had in recent years.
When was this from? What year?
This is from 2000. I actually was lucky enough to be one of the first people to go into this circle. We were in it the first morning. And this one, we've had different types of equipment to test the crop circles. One of the things that we've used, Ron and I, are these static meters, which test electrostatic energy.
Yeah.
Now, in this circle, as I walked around, the static field went from negative to positive to negative to positive, like clockwork, as you walked across the different spaces and the parts where the crop is standing.
Okay. Now, here's the big question, and you get it all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to ask you. There's always this debate about the so-called real crop circles, or the not real crop circles. But that's kind of a misnomer, isn't it? I mean, you know, we're talking about man-made as opposed to something else made it. Extra-dimensional, extraterrestrial, a combination of both, whatever. And as I read your research, maybe I haven't read it enough. You know, originally we thought that the electrostatic was the variable that made it different, and there were other things that made it different, you know. But is there anything that you can see? Because I know you know some of the people that made the crop circles.
Well, when I first started going over there, Joe, I didn't think people were capable of doing something this big and this large.
You witnessed it yourself on occasion.
This one on the screen right now is one that we actually made. We actually started to make our own, very simple ones, as a test to see if humans could make circles of their own. This one's the size across of a football field. This is 300 feet across. And this is one we made with the farmer's permission. It was the first one that we had ever made as a team, Team Cosmos. And Ron and I...
You were actually helping to make it.
Yeah, we started in the evening, and then we came back the next morning. We're not trying to prove we could do this overnight. We were real slow, but we did something that looked pretty good. And then we realized maybe people could actually do some of these. But we originally didn't think humans could do this. Okay. And eventually we were approached by people. And it's because they're so complicated. There's so many weird things going on. Yeah. And no one had ever been caught in years and years and years doing this. And
they're done overnight.
They're done in a couple hours, and they look too big and complicated. Eventually, we met people who said that they could make some, and they took us out. They took me out at night to see one that they made, and then we began to see that they actually could make the big ones. In fact, they probably make most, or if not all, of these larger ones, like this so-called basket formation.
Didn't you say that usually it's the more complicated, more intricate ones that are probably man-made?
Yeah, this is the type that is, in my view, is definitely man-made. The original type that were made by UFOs or ionic plasmas are generally simple circles or groups of circles. I'm not disputing that that is true. Originally, you know, we did have that phenomena, especially in the United States, lots of reports of UFOs, metallic discs, whatever they are, associated with these crop circles, no doubt about it. But in the late 80s and 90s, some of these people began to wonder, well, could we do such a thing? They got tired of waiting up there at night in the dark. It's cold. I mean, it's rainy, and it's not that pleasant to wait there for hours. It's in England. This is not summer in the U.S. This is cold and is kind of doom and gloom. Summer at night there. So they got tired of waiting. They thought maybe if we make a small one first, it'll encourage the intelligence to make a bigger one. They began to get more elaborate, like you see here on the screen, more complicated, more geometric, just because they thought, well, if we could do that, let's add this. You know, humans are creative. I think, in my view, this is perfectly natural for humans to continue the process, the creation process. Yeah. It could be that this is an extraterrestrial training project that was designed to get people involved, so that we start learning about geometry and all of the strange energies around. This is, by the way, from last year. This is right from 2008.
And then you have to question
in Avebury.
Then you have to question, if you're talking about inner phenomenon, where the impulses are coming from for people to make them.
Right. Where do you think they're coming from?
Well, I mean, there could be these other intelligences, for instance, or just our own higher self, or whatever, that we're channeling these without even realizing it. And of course, the ego, like with the remote viewing, is